Today's session is super special. Thank you so much, Anupam, for joining in.
Thank you, Bhimanyu, for giving me this opportunity to come and sit here in this discussion with you. I'm really glad to have this opportunity. Hope lot many people will get something fruitful out of it.
No, I'm sure. So today we have Anupam, as I was mentioning that I'll quickly introduce Anupam. We also have Sunil joining us. Sunil heads Scalers Enterprise team. So Sunil, maybe if you could say a quick hello to all the learners as well.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Hi, Anupam.
Hi, Sunil.
So starting with a quick introduction of Anupam. So Anupam, I'll maybe share Anupam's LinkedIn profile as well. So every weekend, what we do is we get in a scalar learner alumni who has been in a way, like in any community, it's important that we have the beacons who we look up to, right? And from who we can get some guidance, who have, who have put in a lot of hard work, efforts into building their skills and then applying them in the industry as well. So they can share their journey, what is their advice looking back, how they think what worked really well. Also, I think what kind of difficulties you might have faced on the journey, right? Because no journey is without some hardships. Anything which is worthwhile requires a lot of efforts, right? So your like, what was your journey throughout your studies? How did you, let's say, apply to the companies? What kind of roles you figured? Because you come with a very unique background, right? So if maybe I share my screen and show Anupam's LinkedIn profile to everyone. And guys, please do connect because, of course, like networking is very, very powerful thing. If you see, Anupam started his career in 2018 as a senior business development associate. Anupam, I'm just referring to what is there on your LinkedIn. So please.
Yes, it's absolutely correct. Whatever is there on LinkedIn, I keep it updated.
Right. Yeah. So you have spent a lot of time in the Indian edtech industry. Then Anupam worked as a sales lead for Vedantu in Patna, followed by, you grew in the ranks and become associate director for sales and operation at Planet Spark. Now, so far, one might think, you are purely just into sales, right?
Correct.
But this is where an interesting thing happened. That now Anupam has joined as in the offline VP side of Central Sales Ops Analytics, right?
Correct.
The very unique thing about Anupam's profile I see is that there is a lot of science and art that exists in the sales function itself, right? And then the massive value gets created when this knowledge of sales domain gets combined with knowledge of data science.
Correct.
As many, it might not be like those who do not come from large scale sales background. One very interesting thing is that at large scale sales function, like those of, let's say, PhysicsWallah or Vedantu or any such companies, it is just about a lot of data analytics, right? All the decisions are purely taken by data sciences, by finding patterns. It could be that what kind of prior journey of learner is leading to better enrollment into the program, or let's say what kind of guidance to them leads to better enrollment numbers, right? Now, while a salesperson might be only doing the job of, let's say, speaking to someone and telling them that why the program is a good program for them. But when, let's say, I'm not sure, Anupam, if you may share that, what would be the scale of number of people in the sales team at a company like, let's say, Vedantu or Byju, if you could share that?
So if I start, like my first company was a tech company, if I say it was Byju. So the point in time when I was working with Byju, the total number of sales strength was close to somewhere around 2,000 or even more than that. When I was working with Vedantu, the strength of, I'm talking at associate level. Okay, associate, and you can take till L1 and L2 level. So it was close to around 700, 800. And when I was working at Planet Spark, it was again taking L1 and L2 level, and the associate, it was close to 5 to 700.
Right. So guys, as you see that at this scale, the amount of data being produced, both from the student side and the sales team side, is massive, right? And a lot of right business decisions could be taken by just doing the right analytics. And another thing is that many people who come from, let's say, 2, 3, 5, 7 years of experience in any particular domain, sales being one career path potentially is that, let's say, you entirely transition to data science role, right? Those who joined the session few months back with Aaron, for example, few weeks back with Aaron had a similar journey that he had spent 2-3 years in sales. Now he has entirely shifted to data science domain as a data science engineer, right? That is one career path. But that is not only. What I want to emphasize is that entirely switching the domain is not necessary. What you could also explore is, particularly people with more experience in particular domain, is that how can you apply your knowledge of data science on top of the experience that you already have, right? And that is what Anupam has done. So over to you, Anupam, to share about, maybe let's begin with your learning journey, that how did you decide that you want to learn data science, and then module by module, which modules you felt were hard, which modules you now are feeling were super useful for the work you are doing.
So I'll start with my working journey only, just a crux of it. So I have spent my 6 years working into the sales domain of edtech industry only. Okay, it includes organizations like Byju, Vedantu, and Planet Spark. So working for 6 years into sales had made me clear about one thing, that I know how to generate interest from customer side, right? As a leader, as a mentor for my team, I know how to train the associates. I know how to gauge them for the interest of the customer or coming to our platform. But when you serve for 6 years into specific domain, you need to be more concise about how to see the other perspective of that business. Okay. Eventually, every startup, what they want is their business to grow. Not only startup, every company who is working around, they want their business to grow. So one part is the sales team who takes care of the growth of the business. But again, you as a person, if you want to, get some insights, you need to understand the data. You need to understand the patterns. And that is what I felt I was lacking, that I was always dependent on the analytics team to give me some insights if I wanted to share, if I wanted to see something, if I wanted to see a different graph, if I wanted to see different trajectory, if I wanted to see any different thing that was coming apart from the regular reports. So I had to always be relied upon my data team or my, analytics team. So that is where I felt that I as a person is lagging to take out all these things. So that was the time, I think it was 2022, I decided to finally to go ahead with such kind of course where I can actually learn these tech skills, so that I can myself be a person who not only knows how to grow the business, but also understand how to take out the data, how to look at the patterns, how to get some insights, how to make some impactful insights for the business to grow. So that was my whole and soul, core purpose of joining into this course. So I started then, my first module that I got taught was SQL, that I found very, very, very interesting, because prior to that I was only working into Excel and Google Sheets. And when I get hands-on on SQL, I found that this was something very important that I was missing into my career, because once you have the database access of your company, and once you know how to actually extract the right set of data so that you can work upon it, SQL is the master class. SQL, I'd say anyone and everyone is meeting, SQL is going to be the game changer of your life if you are joining into any company into data job. SQL is going to be the game changer. Okay. So
one just follow-up question here. Two questions I actually asked the audience. One is that how many of you are currently working in a job which is, let's say, something not related to data science? That could be sales, could be marketing, could be anything else. How many of you can find some pattern, the way, for example, Anupam was mentioning that it has his job itself, there were opportunities to apply this knowledge of data science, right? That the moment you learn MySQL, you could start doing that even in your current job, right? How many of you see such opportunity? Give me a thumbs up that in your current job, you know that, if I'm super good with MySQL or, let's say data visualization, I can start putting that in my job. One thing that I would emphasize that almost everyone, when you look deep, you will find such opportunities. In today's world, in any company, if you are working in a large scale company, most likely there will be an opportunity where you could apply some, knowledge of data. One very important part is that start doing that right away. Do not hope for this one day that I'll learn everything, then I'll switch the job, and then I'll get an opportunity to apply my knowledge of data science. Start applying that in your day-to-day job immediately, because that will help you build much better command and will also help you build much better profile also, right? Second thing is, how many of you here have finished are studying MySQL or have finished MySQL, and you think that you have good confidence on that? This is a recurring theme. I'm sure all of you would have noticed that every single person who have gotten into a good role, they all emphasize that MySQL is going to be very, very, very critical. So double down on that, revise it again, solve hard problems, make sure that you have solved all the assignments, make sure you have finished the mock interview. Even outside of the Skiller platform also, practice MySQL even more. So Chandra definitely finished with less confidence. This is one module, like I can tell you that even 5 years down the line, 7 years down the line, if you are in the data domain, your command on MySQL is going to be most important. Right? So Anupam, over to you again. That as you mentioned, that MySQL was like the module which kind of enabled you massively. Tell us a little bit about that. How exactly did it enable you?
Honestly saying, when I started this course, I was also having that, I was skeptical about whether shall I go for a complete domains into a role which is a completely transition to a new role, or shall I actually work on my business, because I have my business understanding. I can work on my skills and can get into a relevant job like sales operations analyst, or sales business operations analyst, business generation analyst. So these kind of questions. So that was the thing that came into my mind. So I'll just add one more thing, Abhimanyu, over here. So I got a chance through Scalar to sit for a company named Indian Software. Okay. Mm-hmm. So my entire motivation came through that interview experience only. So what happened there, I just want to share with everyone. So the first round was a basic SQL hacker rank round. I got that clear. Second round, my LWL round was also on SQL only. I got that clear. But in the final round, when it came to me, so what happened, they were hiring for this Uber profile. Okay. So it was not only on SQL, it was about the business understanding, okay, in which I failed massively. I'll just accept, in which I failed massively. So there I got my learning. You don't only need to know this tech skills. You cannot be confident into interview just by knowing SQL or Python or Tableau. You need to have understanding of their business. Then only you will be the right fit for that interview. Okay. So then I realized, okay, I'm having experience into sales. Why not? I shall start targeting the roles where I can get my sales experience or sales knowledge into action, plus the tech skills that I'm learning. Okay, moving forward, then I learned SQL, and I used to practice SQL on daily basis through HackerRank, through LeetCode, through Status Batch, every possible platform that I could come across. I used to practice on a daily basis. And moving forward, then I go through this section of Tableau. Then we had this Python modules, NumPy, Pandas. So all these things actually helped me in my current job role interview process. So it was a 4-step process. The first round was again, first 2 rounds was on SQL only, SQL and some parts of Python. But the next 2 rounds was completely under the understanding of business, how I actually see the business and how I can actually grow the business using the data or the data science knowledge that I have.
Got it. Very interesting. So Anupam, further talking about that, MySQL was one module. Tell us about further modules that like which modules did you find to be very hard, or like any difficulty that you might have faced during your learning journey?
Honestly saying, Python, when I started, initially it was quite easy, but the moment it kept on going, I found it a bit difficult for me. Again, it would be a different scale of measure for everyone. Initially, it was again very difficult for me because I was getting relevantly lesser time when I started my job. Okay, but yes, I did know that if I have to excel, so I need to give some more time and more adherence to the modules that were there. So I started practicing more and more Python. I started to go through the lectures again and again. If I was not able to understand anything, I was again watching lectures 2-3 times, even up to 4 times on lectures, so that I can build more clarity around it. I used to discuss this with my mentor who was there. So yes, Python was something where I actually felt a bit difficulty level was there, but I know how I could overcome those difficulties. So I started working.
Right. Just looking at your mock interviews as well, could you tell us about the mock interviews that you finished? Okay, maybe let's take this question from Ritesh. That did they ask machine learning algorithms in your interviews?
Like no, it was majorly on SQL, Python, and some. Am I audible?
Anupam, your voice in between had cracked a little bit, but now it seems to be all right.
So just to answer Ritesh's question that he asked whether I was asked machine learning algorithms or not. So no, I was, because the job role that I applied for was a operations analyst and manager only, operations and analytics manager. So I was not asked any machine learning algorithm, but yes, since I have joined this organization, it's been 3 months. So now I'm expected, to be more proficient with machine learning in upcoming time.
There is one question. I don't have any projects. Primarily from non-tech to a DS transition. I think there have been quite a few questions that have come. What are the things that you mentioned in your CV? How did you ensure a CV shortlist? What kind of projects give an impact? Maybe if you could just touch upon that, that would be very helpful as well. There are quite a few questions in your notes. Yeah.
Sure. So if I talk about the basic projects, so that I was working upon were the projects that I was getting from the scaler. Apart from that, I used to follow a website that is medium.com. So I used to, study different case studies of different organizations. If you can refer to medium.com, there you get n number of data sets to work upon, and you will get n number of insights from how different actually businesses work. So I was following that medium.com. I used to get data sets from there. I used to create my own dashboards, and also I was working on getting more and more lecture videos of different instructors at scalar only, which I was using because I referred to for Tableau. I referred to this Saurav Kango's video, Saurav Kango sirs, and his classes were actually very helpful in terms of Tableau dashboard creation. I used to get different data sets from his classes, and I worked upon it. So majorly, if I say, if you want to something practice outside from scalar, you should definitely refer to medium.com. I also come from a non-tech background, only completely new to this domain of sales from analytics and operations.
Anupam, one other point that most people kind of have questions on is how do you manage? Sales is a taxing job, right? There are targets to chase. There's always a cadence that goes on every other day. How do you balance your current employment with your curriculum at Scalar? How do you at the same time preparing for interviews, brushing up on topics? How did you balance this entire thing?
So initially, when I started to attend the classes, initially when I joined Scalar, it was really challenging for me because in terms of the amount of work or the amount of responsibilities that I was having in my organization was quite big. That I had to look after a lot many people, a lot many leadership people at leadership level and people at associate level and managerial level as well. So yes, initially it was quite difficult, and then what I started, because my office started somewhere around at 10 or 11 a.m. in the morning. So I started to take classes early in the morning. That was 7 a.m. batch. But studying for 2 to 3 months down the line, I actually started to feel exhausted. So since I had 6 years of work experience and I had a good rapport with the every people working in the industry around, so I took that calculated risk at my end, where I knew that if I can take a break of 3 to 4 months or at a stretch 5 months, I can again, if something good didn't come to me, I can again rejoin my previous organization. So that was the time I decided to take that calculated risk, and I took completely off from my last working company for 5 to 6 months, and I started my dedicating my full time into studies only. And after studying for 5 to 6 months, then I got this job opportunity, and where I succeeded, and I'm currently working for last 6 months.
Sure. Anupam, could you also share some experiences where you had applied to companies but didn't get through? What were your learnings from the rejection process? What what were a few things you did differently to convert this to a success in your current job? Could you share some insights on some failures that happened during this journey?
So one thing that I would like to emphasize upon, ki once you start applying for a new job role or job role that is completely different from your job domain, failure is something that is inevitable. It is going to come, and it is going to come whatever you may do. So eventually, like as I also told in my previous question, that India was the first company where I applied for this role of data analyst, and I got rejected in the final round because I was not having that business understanding for the client that they were hiring for. Okay. Secondarily, then I applied for 2, 3 other. I applied for actually more number of companies. The number was in even hundreds that I used to apply for. Initially, what mistake I was doing, any job role that I was looking on LinkedIn, having that analyst profile along that with their role, I was applying for it. So eventually, I used to get reply in the ratio of 1:200. Like if I used to apply for 100 companies, eventually 1 or 2 companies would have replied to me. And then also I got rejected in the first or second round due to another n number of different things. So then I realized that just by applying randomly to company without having a proper resume, without having a proper supporting fact to your resume, cannot make it. So it was the time then I again took a mentor session from my mentor, sir. Okay, he acknowledged my experience into sales of last 6 years, and he guided me actually that you should look forward to roles where you can actually use your last 6 years experience. And so then I decided to shorten, or to make it streamline about my job search history. And then I started applying for edtech companies who were looking for analytical profile roles. Okay, and then I came across this role. Eventually, I had one of my friend, a good friend, who was working at PhysicsWallah. So he referred my resume to this company, and then I went across with the 4 stages of hiring, and then I joined over here after clearing all.
One question from Abhinav: how did you portray your sales experience in resume for data analyst opening? I think one advantage that you had was you already had that edtech experience. Right? So,
Correct.
yes, if you could take
The
this.
role, the person that my current employer was looking for, it was more like a person who knows how to grow the business, but needs to understand the data and can generate some insight. So that was the unique opportunity that I came across for this role, because it was an edtech. It was looking for a person who knows how to drive business, how to grow the business, and it was looking for a person who knows how to extract the data, how to generate that impactful insights or the good insights from that data. So that was something, I'll say, a unique combination of opportunities that this role was having, where I came across. So yes, so not only they were testing me on my SQL skills or Excel skills or Power BI or something like Python, they were also testing me with how good I am able to judge which lead sets or which whatever is the right thing in the right direction for the right set of people, whether I had that understanding or not.
Got it. Anupam, one of the things you had mentioned some time back is how you found SQL very important in the entire course. Could we go a little deeper into that? Essentially, could you look at providing some business cases where you use your knowledge of SQL currently? Maybe that would give some direct context as to what we're learning in the class. How does it translate directly into what you do in the job?
Yes, in my current job profile, if I talk about SQL, let's suppose I'll just put it in a very simple way. If I work for somewhere around close to 9 hours in a day, more than 5 to 5.5 hours I dedicate to SQL, because you have to extract n number of data from the databases, millions of data you have to extract and read about, and then you have to find the right set of data that you need to actually look upon. So the major things of SQL that come into action is that anyone and everyone should be very much confident about is how to use joins, how to use group by, how to use case when, how to use aggregated functions, window functions. These all things are actually going to be very impactful when you will actually start to work on some databases. Like currently we are working on Amazon Redshift. Okay, it's a meta database. So you need to be very much handy about, because no one is going to ask you whether you need to know, whether you know how to apply this filter, whether you know how group by works or how having clause work, how Windows function work. It's just that the business requirement will come to you. Okay, this is something that stakeholder wants to see, or this is something that stakeholder wants to improve. Now it is up to you how you are actually gathering that data, how you are making sense out of that data, and how you are actually portraying it to the business stakeholders. So all the topics of SQL that were taught in the class actually make sense when I work on day to day on daily basis.
Speaking of daily basis, Anupam, could you walk us through what a typical day looks like?
Okay, so I cannot go much deeper in detail about it, but yes, if I talk about my day-to-day activities, it is majorly extracting data from the database, picking up the right set of data that is being missed upon, or that is actually the stakeholder wants to work upon, or the stakeholder wants to improvise. My job is to extract that data and present it to the my senior leadership or the higher organization people. And then our second job role is to create impactful dashboards out of it. And then my third job role is to connect with the sales team and give them the right approach with the set of data that I extract, and I create dashboards around it.
Got it. Anupam, any other insights that you would offer somebody who is actively looking out for a transition into data analytics or data science?
The only thing that I would suggest is, if a person is having 2 to 3 years of experience, they can definitely look forward for a transition into completely new field. But if anyone is having experience of 5 years, 6 years, or even greater than that, what I was having, so I would personally suggest that try to look after for job role that requires analytics with your background, because right now the current market scenario is that industries are looking for people, analytics people in every department, be it about HR, be it about design, be it about marketing, be it about graphics. I see even in my current organization, there is analytics required at every point in time in every department. So whichever, if you are having more than 5 years of experience, try to use this experience as an analytical person who knows how to be good at that expertise or in that domain, and knows how to get impactful insights out of that data. So that is something that I would recommend to anyone and everyone.
Correct. This is something that we recommend in career module sessions as well. Try to reduce the number of variables that you currently have, right?
Okay.
If you have some sort of industry experience, which sort of do not reduce your background to zero when you apply, right? If you have too many variables involved, you don't really play to your strengths. So if you come from a banking background, try to apply to analytics roles in the banking industry. If you come from some other background, try to reduce the number of variables that are there. Right?
Correct.
Completely aligned with you, Anupam.
Correct. One thing I would just want to highlight is, Sunil, the career module sessions that were being provided by Scaler, I attended those sessions of resume building. And I must say what my resume or my LinkedIn profile was earlier and how I actually changed it after attending those career module was very different, because you need to be very much impactful when it comes to your resume or your LinkedIn profile. Because whatever you are doing for 5 and 6 years, if you're not able to quantify, justify with that quantifiable number, if you're not able to show that impact over your resume and your profile, people not get interested in looking at you. So attending those career module session, that resume building session was very, very grateful for me. That is where I got that insights how actually my resume should look, that too when I'm a person who is into completely sales and need to, get into analytical role.
That's nice to hear, Anupam. Glad it worked out. Folks, do you have other questions? Question from Rishikesh. Can you share your resume? Rishikesh, Anupam's LinkedIn ID has been pinned. You can just go through that. Question from Ishant. In SQL, how important is DDL, DML, and stored procedures knowledge from an interview standpoint?
So DDL, DML, I'll say if you are actually into data engineering role. Okay. So again, when you work as an analyst, there is just you need to be about DML, data manipulation. That is something. But when you go for a data engineering specific role, then of course DDL, because drop, truncate, delete, these all things will come into action, update them into the records. But if you're not into data engineering role, if you're working as an analyst or you're working as an analytical person into some specific domain, as I will take care of business growth, then you don't need to be very much, strong with DDL, because there will be data engineering team who will be taking care of those things.
Got it. How should one prepare? I think this we have covered at length. One question from Shruti, which is slightly different from the other questions that were asked. I don't have projects. I'm not working in any company. How do I get an interview call? What project should I have in resume? Anupam, maybe we can expand on this slightly. For somebody who does not have any active work experience at this point of time, what would be a great source for them to find projects? How do they go about putting projects on their CV?
Okay. So the first source, at least complete all the projects, all the assignment that you get from Scalar, that will be the first source. Second thing, do refer to medium.com. Okay. If you go there and if you type anything like case studies of Swiggy, case study of Zomato, case study of any, so you will get n number of data sets over there. Now it is up to you how you can actually start thinking, because when you, as you saw over my LinkedIn profile as well, you need to portray yourself as a person who understands the data and who can actually make some sense out of data. It's just not like anyone can write that command of SQL, select star from the table name and apply the filter. But after getting that command, what you are doing out of it, that is the core important. So do refer to medium.com, do refer to YouTube as well. There are a number of free channels that provide you with free data sets. So you need to download those data sets and come up with some insights out of it. I used to go to YouTube and medium.com, and on every week basis, I tried at least to make one or two projects on an every week. Either it is from YouTube or from medium.com. I was majorly focused on Indian startups. So I was exploring into food tech industry or ed tech industry or even the health insurance tech industry. So I was focusing on these industries and I was downloading their data sets. I was creating my own analysis and insights about it. I was regularly posting it over LinkedIn so that the relevant people or the people from the relevant industries would see like if it get noticed or not. Fine. So you need to come up with many projects, and there are a number of channels available on YouTube and medium.com as well, where you can refer for data sets.
Got it. Thanks, Anupam. Question from Balaji. What period of my scalar journey is it good to appear for the job search? Balaji, ideally, we would want you to complete as much of what is necessary to apply for particular roles, right? Do not set like a mental clock saying after 3 months I want to start applying for jobs. After 6 months, you should apply for jobs once you're done with the curriculum pertaining to a particular role. In the case of data analytics, it is primarily Python libraries, SQL, and EDA fundamentals that is needed to apply. And for data science, of course, you need to complete the other modules as well.
Right now, organizations are also looking for people who know actually some level of machine learning models. So you can never quantify that if I am knowing these all things, I can start applying for jobs. So every job role demands different kind of experience, right? So you need to be precise with every domain that is you're learning, and can check out the opportunities if you're relevant for that role or not. Because this was the mistake that I was doing. I was randomly applying to n number of jobs that I was coming across, which was having an analyst profile. But that is something I realized I was wrong at my end.
Question from Nagar Raghavendra: along with our current working schedule, can we complete the course? Or as you said, we need to take a break from work and complete the course? Raghavendra, I think that's a matter of personal choice.
Yes.
Anupam, in case you want to add to this.
No, it's completely a sense of personal choice, because my job role was asking me to provide more than 14 to 16, even sometimes up to 17 hours in a day. So it was my personal choice to take a break. But again, there are different scenarios for different people. If you think you are able, like for first 3 months I was very much compatible with my job and learning, but again when I wanted to deep dive and I wanted to invest more time here, that and I was having that much amount of experience and that much amount of connection in the industry, that even after 6 months of time, if I was not getting anything good, I could go back to my previous company or can go back to any organization as a salesperson only, as a sales leader only. But I took that calculated risk. I'll not encourage anyone to drop off from your current job if you are not having. So make that calculation from your end. It will be completely personal basis.
Right. Anupam, one other question. In fact, you touched upon this some time back. How important is mentorship? How do you engage with mentors that you may have within the Scalar ecosystem or outside? What sources did you currently use to guide yourself on this journey that you recently managed, where you recently managed a transition? Could you touch upon the mentorship advising sort of front?
Mentorship is something very important. Try to connect with as number of people on LinkedIn at first place, where people who are in good product based company or at a good level in terms of analytics. If you want to actually go, try connecting with them and try to understand their journey. So try sending connections to any people that you see having a good profile into product based or even a service based company, but having a good analytical experience. Also from mentorship point of view, you need to reach out to people who can actually tell you about your failures. Okay, when you keep on succeeding into some interviews, you feel everything is going right, but the moment you fail, you need to look out to a person who can actually guide you and tell you where exactly you made the mistake and how you can actually work upon. So I was completely in touch with my mentor. All things have happened, these all things I have done, this is the point where I feel. Then he actually, my mentor only referred me to go through medium.com and make a habit of studying at least one case study in a week and making a case study in a week from Medium, so that you can be relevant and be updated about the current industry trends. So yes, being in connect with a good mentor is going to be super helpful for everyone.
Got it. Anupam, one of the things that you were discussing along with Abhimanyu as well is the various points of entry into a data science. Right? Either we keep industry as common, we get in as data analysts, and then gradually transition to data science. What is your roadmap currently looking like? Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? And what are the various things that you're doing at this point of time to sort of enable that roadmap?
So I have decided for myself that at least for next 1 year, from next 1 year, it is going to be a completely learning graph for me. Okay, in my current organization, because I must say that I'm fortunate enough that in my current organization I have got good people along with me who are training me and who are telling me that what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, and they're giving me time and space to learn as well. Okay, it's not just I have my deliverables, I have my ETS that is expected from me, but I have time to learn as well. So what I have decided for myself for next 1 year, I'm going to put my complete 1 year into learning as much thing as possible. Then again, after 5 years down the line, Sunil, if you ask me, I see myself as a person who is very much, relevant to the business understanding, who knows how to grow the business and who knows how to actually create models, how to actually take business from, even if it is required to pivot a complete business model. I would be a person who knows how, which all parameters I need to shift upon, what data I need to work upon, how that data will be extracted, what all thing I can guide. So I see myself as a person who is a business leader, but with the analytical experiences.
Got it. Makes sense. Question from Aman: how to get connections on LinkedIn, especially as a fresher? Aman, are you referring to reaching out to people for jobs? Is that what you're referring to? Because getting connections is a matter of locating people and sending them a request, right? Anupam, how effective was LinkedIn? I know you did apply to a lot of places, but do you have any learnings on the LinkedIn side? Did you apply to a bunch of places? See, what we recommend a lot of people to do is also try to use LinkedIn to your best as far as possible, right? Reach out to various hiring managers there, figure out if you can get a reference. Do you have any experience of having done that on LinkedIn? And would you share some learnings?
So LinkedIn, I'll say, is a very open medium. Okay. So, but the feature that LinkedIn provides is it allow us to apply n number of filters, where you can apply filters of last 24 hours, last 7 days, people who have posted anything with hashtags or something, analyst or something like this. So you need to be not relevant with the hiring managers. You need to be relevant with the people who are hiring. There are people who hire for their own team, who are somewhere data scientists, people who are senior data scientists. They hire for their own teams. So looking after only for HRs is not going to be the right approach. I used to search with people who are the senior data scientists into their current domain, and then they were hiring for certain projects. They were hiring for certain internships under them. They were having any opening. So right approach shall say ki look out for people who are at senior level into specific data oriented role, because at any given point in time, everyone comes with certain number of openings. So that was the approach that I was following to connect with more and more number of senior people into data science roles.
Right. Question from Mohammed. If you want to refer back to videos for SQL, Tableau, and Python, who do you prefer? We can actually expand on this, Anupam. Before interviews, what is your? I mean, you can't run through the entire course in a period of one day, right? What is your cheat sheet before once an interview is scheduled and before you have to go for the interview? If you had one day to prepare, what would you touch upon?
So during my classes, I used to make notes of my own. Okay. So first thing that I went through was the complete notes of that. Secondarily, there is a cheat sheet that you get at the end of every class, where there are everything's in a very short and precise manner. So cheat sheet is something where you touch down every point. You don't need to elaborate everything, but okay, this is the group by, this is the Excel, this is whatever the things are there. So cheat sheet for every topic is very important to keep it handy. So what I used to do, let's suppose if tomorrow I'm having an interview, today I'll spend my at least 1 hour with cheat sheet of SQL, 1 hour of cheat sheet with Tableau, 1 hour of cheat sheet with Python, NumPy, Pandas, or whatever the topics I have gone through. So keeping cheat sheets handy is also always going to be very much beneficial, even in my day-to-day life as well. Today in my working hours as well, there are n number of things which I forget, which I don't know how to use. So I use either Chat GPT or use my cheat sheet that I'm having along with me to be more proficient at work. If I talk about my SQL, so Amit sir's class, he is the best instructor of SQL, at least whom we do. I can refer to Amit Singh. His name is Amit Singh. You can reach out to, you can request his videos of SQL. He trains in SQL in the best possible manner. At least my all learnings are SQL are coming from him only. For Tableau, as I mentioned, you can refer to Saurabh Kango sir. For Python, you can refer to Rahul Jangu sir for Python. These all things, so I will recommend to everyone. So these are some great instructors from whom I have got massive amount of learning.
Got it. I think Abhimanyu is back. Abhimanyu, he broadly touched upon his entire journey, what all preparatory material used, how LinkedIn was used to the maximum benefit that Anupam could use. Is there anything else you want to specifically touch upon in this session, Abhimanyu?
No, I think this session is for the learners, by the learners. So I think taking in all the questions, Anupam, anything that you feel would be valuable for people who are on the journey, simple as yours. I think that's good. Let's just continue with the questions for now.
Fine. I guess I touched on all the points. The only thing that I would again emphasize upon, if you are having experience of 5 years or more than that, try to look forward for analytical role into your domain specific jobs only, because in that way you will be again having that perk of getting extra paid, or getting that not getting that paid into equivalent pay skill that you are having currently. And secondarily, also you will be having advantage of using your experience into domain and to make some insights out of it. So that is only my suggestion to the people. And for freshers, just try on focusing as many projects and as many connections on LinkedIn you can reach out. That is the only way that is going to help you.
Right. I'd just like to add one point, Anupam, as well, right? Since you touched upon reaching out to people on LinkedIn. Whenever you want to reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, try to ensure that your message is as crisp and has a clear call to action there, right? Rather than reaching out to somebody saying, please refer me to roles in your company. That does not really yield a lot of outcomes, right? If I wanted to reach out to Anupam for any roles in PhysicsWallah, I would be very specific about, hey, here's a role that I see on your career site. Here's why I think I would be a good fit for this role, and could you please help me out with a referral, right? That has a clear call to action. That also shows that you've done your research, and it's very crisp, and it has a clear expectation setting that happens in the message, right? This is something that we touch upon as well. Please do not reach out to people saying, hey, can you refer me for roles in your company? That shows a lack of research.
So in that, politeness with impact is very important for any referral. So the person looking out your profile shall feel, okay, this is the person I shall actually refer to my current organization. So yes, that as Sunil said, it's very correctly mentioned.
Any other questions? Question from Mohammed, both for Anupam and Abhimanyu. What is your view on Gen AI and how do you think it's going to transform the industry? And are we looking at adding Gen AI to the current course curriculum?
I guess
Right.
this is
Anupam, do you want to take this first? Like if you see any of the Gen AI applications in your work?
no, not as of now. In my current job role, I don't see Gen AI is impacting at my current job role. But I don't know about how future is going to be related to it. So yes, I leave the ball in your court, Abhimanyu, so you can answer it in a more crisp manner.
No, so see, on the first part, of course, as of today, to be very candid, like while there might be a lot of hype, but when it comes to real work at the job or kind of hiring particularly, like I have not seen a company saying that I'm going to hire this person if they know Gen AI. Rather, MySQL is what is much more important. They will grill you on MySQL rather than how much Gen AI you have. Right? So fundamentals are super important. Focus on them. Do not get distracted. Now, on the second part, that let's say in 2, 4, 5, 7 years, how it might change, right? Definitely, Gen AI is something which have potential, right? But generally, like you all might have seen that meme where someone is on a staircase, instead of taking the first step, they are jumping to the sixth step directly, right? So Gen AI is kind of like that. First, you have to become really, really strong with your very fundamentals. You are good with SQL, you are good with Python, you are good with EDA. Even then you learn the ML fundamentals, right? That like how these fundamentals work. Once you have done all of that, then Gen AI. Another important thing is that as of today, Gen AI is changing so rapidly that investing too much time into right now might end up being a waste as well. I'll give you an example. Just 6 months back, people were saying that learning prompt engineering is necessary and everyone should learn prompt engineering. Another thing now happening is that LLM models are getting so much better that you can just instruct in English and they will be able to do it instead of you having to build those structured prompts. Right? So if we were, let's say, spending 2-3 months learning prompt engineering 6 months back, by now it would have gotten wasted already because now that kind of prompt engineering is not needed anymore. Right? So when it comes to learning, the best approach is give maximum amount of focus on fundamentals, right? And then, like things which are moving too fast, learn them when you need to apply them, right? So basically, let's say if you are building a project, if you think that you would like to build a project on Gen AI, then whatever is needed for the project, learn that. Instead of saying that, let's say prompt engineering is so hot, so I'll go and learn it, right? I will give you another example that back in 2020 and 21, there was a lot of similar noise about Web3. Right? A lot of people said, should I go and learn Web3? We clearly said, don't do it right now. Let it evolve. Once it evolves in few years, then we will figure out that what should be done. So same approach with Gen AI. It's powerful tool. I'm not undermining it. But for now, all of us should focus on fundamentals. When you are building a project, when you are doing something real world, if that requires Gen AI, then we should learn that. Not as a precursor that I'll just go and learn Gen AI and skipping the fundamentals.
So Abhimanyu sir, if you allow, I just want to add that apart from learning SQL, the Tableau, Python, so there are some tools that also I would suggest everyone to learn if they get time. So do learn Google Analytics from YouTube because I have learned that and it is going to be very much helpful in any organization you join. Then you can also learn tools like Whimsical or this Figma for BRD diagram, the business relation diagrams or the flowcharts because that is something that I'm using in my day-to-day life as of now. So Google Analytics and Figma, Whimsical, these things are also very important along with SQL, Python, and Power BI or Tableau.
Question from Priyanka. I am working as an assistant professor in mathematics. I have around 9 years of teaching experience. What are the job opportunities in DA and DS field for me? Can you suggest how to approach?
Maybe I can take this. So Priyanka, fundamentally, with your teaching background again, as Anupam was saying earlier as well, there are two potential paths for you. One is that, let's say, you explore opportunities as a data analyst, etc., which people manage to transition. But please understand that in case you will have to start as a beginner, right? Not a bad choice. In some scenarios, it might be a good choice. Second is also that if you are already assistant professor in mathematics, right? Of course, the Teaching is a domain which is always going to be relevant, right? Teaching data science is even more so, right? So you could also explore that within your institute itself or across other institutes, once you have built very strong command on data science, so applying for the teaching roles in data science could also be a good opportunity for you. Even for example, even at Scalar, we do hire people to teach, even as a TA or etc. And even in traditional institutes, I'm sure that there are many institutes are looking for people. So given your already teaching experience, that might be another good path for you. Similar to Anupam, for example, he had many years of experience in sales, and now he's applying his knowledge of data science in sales domain itself. So similarly, that could be another path.
A couple of other questions again pertaining to individual situations,
I
right?
think let's take one from Deepanjan, which is because on that I think Anupam would be able to give some interesting insights.
You can definitely, there are organizations who are looking for sales analyst profiles as well. There are organizations who are looking for sales development analysts as well. So there kinds of roles do exist in the market, just that you need to reach out to the right person, and you need to be very much frequent in terms of your LinkedIn search, in terms of your search for any upcoming job post, because these are the posts which gets filled very really fast. Let's suppose if today project manager or a hiring manager is posting for these kind of roles, it will be getting at least completed on LinkedIn in a day or two only. So you need to keep your filters accordingly so that you get the relevant search at earliest, and then you can definitely make it to the right.
There's another question, Anupam, that I think you might have good insights on. So Ritesh has this question Anupam sir, if someone comes from analytics domain, and if I want to go get into sales analytics, then what kind of business question should we prepare for, and what kind of project I should build? Maybe even for your team, you might be hiring people for such roles.
I have 15 years of experience in social sector and monitoring and evaluation position, and 1.5 years of experience in sales and marketing. I've completed MSc in statistics with computer application, master population studies. I'm looking to make a transition to data science. What is the suggestion? Adnan, similar to what Anupam mentioned, right? And what we had spoken about some time back as well. Try to reduce the number of variables in your job hunt. If you have 15 years of experience in a specific field, try to use that to the best of your advantage, right? Try to apply for analysis, data scientist sort of roles within the social sector itself. There is a lot of research that happens in the social sector. Do not try to start off something new in a completely different industry, different company, different role, that sort of thing, right? Try to ensure that there are some common threads between what you've done in the past and what you want to do in the future. And having industry information, having grassroots level information of a particular industry will definitely something that's about 15 years old, 15 years of experience would definitely be to your advantage. So try to look out for data analysis, data scientist sort of roles within the social sector itself. Have you tried as a business, have you tried applying to business development officer analytics roles, getting projects end to end for companies? Is it advisable to go that way?
Uh, can you just highlight that question once again?
Yeah, I've put it in the questions tab as being answered now.
Okay, just allow me a moment.
So, Srujan, are you referring to roles where a salesperson gets analytics projects for their companies? Is that what you're referring to? Something similar to what consultants do? Is that what you're referring to? You could just type out if that's what
Yes,
it is.
if you can just more emphasize on the context of the question, Srujan, please.
Okay, maybe we'll wait for Srujan to respond and then come back to this. Question from Balaji. Hi Anupam, what are the challenges you're facing in your current job in the initial days, which are
Fine.
different from any challenges that you're facing,
Yes,
which are because a few topics were not covered? I think that's what he's
correct.
referring to.
So this is, I'll say, a very good question, because there are a number of challenges. Once getting into the company is the first thing. The second bigger problem comes when you start actually working at this kind of role. So understanding the entire database, how that schema is, how every table, what all every tables are there, what all different mat views are being set, what is required to extract from which table, understanding the schema. So it takes you to it. For me, it took me more than a month to understand the entire database, because prior to that, wherever I was working, I was not open to access any database. This was the first time when I got access to this Redshift, and there is a huge number of data set, and there are n number of tables. I'll say it is in uh, it will be not wrong to say I have to explore millions of data. Okay, to understand the right schema, what will be the right set of your judgment to choose from which table, what you need to extract, what you need to show. So it took me more than a month to understand the entire database. So yes, it was a very challenging days for me initially, but yes, I'll say again that I got good peers and good mentors along with me in my current job role who made it easy for me to consume everything that was required. Yes, currently I'm able to manage my classes along with the job.
Most of the other questions are very individual specific. I have X years of experience. How do I transition to a role, right? Just to sort of summarize again what Anupam was mentioning, try to use your industry experience to your advantage. Apply for analysis roles within the same industry so that you don't have to start off as an absolute fresher. You come with some intrinsic knowledge, which only people that have worked in that industry would have.
Sunil, could you also talk about the domain-specific analytics modules that are available for the learners once they have finished the basic modules?
Correct. Yes. So to enable this sort of transition for people wanting to get into, say, banking or healthcare and so on, we have domain analytics modules. Right now, we are keeping it as an opt-in only, where people that have completed certain modules are allowed to opt in for it. But very soon we will plan to roll it out.
That when you were applying, what all companies did you apply to? Through which channels you applied to? What all interviews did you give? Through Scalar's team? How did you, let's say, reach out to people for referrals? Like overall, how many interviews did you give? Like if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So overall, I have given a total 3 interviews for 3 different companies. One was through Scalar only. That was Indian Software that I applied for, where I got rejected in the final round. Okay, because of lack of business understanding. Second round of interview I gave through LinkedIn only, where I applied. I don't remember exactly the company name, but it was having something .ai into their name. So they were also looking for the person who was into business experience with an analytical background. So there I got rejected in the second round. I'll say it was majorly into hard coding of Python. So there I got failed, and then I got selected in this third interview where I appeared for at PhysicsWallah. Okay, if I talk about being more specific to what has been crucial in this journey is something keeping hands-on daily learning with whatever you, because what happens once you learn something on day 1, and if you don't practice it on day 50, it is probably possible that you might forget how these things are actually working. So practicing whatever you're learning on daily basis is going to actually be the key for getting success into any interviews. Okay, getting into roles of analytical profiles will eventually help you to understand how things actually work. What I was looking forward for more into industries like health tech industries, food tech industries, ed tech industry, and insurance tech industries. I was more specific because I know these are the industries that are always going to be there and is always going to be a rewarding industry. So I kept my search relevant to these 4 industries, and I was also very much, concised about looking for a role which would take my experience into consideration rather than considering me as a fresher. So that was my point of view.
I'm not sure if you, while I had gotten away, have you talked about, let's say that in Indium, for example, if you can tell us about that, what were the rounds of interview, what was asked in each interview? Have you covered that, Sunil, already? If
Yes,
not,
yes,
maybe.
I have covered it. So again, I'll mention it once again. The first round was hacker rank round, where I cleared in the hacker rank round. Second round was again L1 round was completely on SQL only. It was a round for more than 1 hour or 1.5 hours, where I was asked n number of different questions on SQL, and I answered all of them. I guess a total 7 questions were asked, out of which I answered 6, and part of 7 was also correct. And then I moved to the L2 round, which was final round, but it was along with SQL, they were testing me on business understanding, because since they were hiring for the project of Uber, right? So they gave me some data sets and they wanted me not to write only the query, but to tell how this query or how this thing is going to give that additional business to Uber. Okay. So where I personally felt that I lacked giving the right insights. So that was the reason they gave me an honest feedback. Anupam, your querying skills are good, but you need to work upon and how business work and what we as a company expect from a business analyst or a data analyst. So then I started reading more and more articles upon how businesses work in all the industries that I mentioned. Okay. So that was the core learning from that interview experience of India.
And another part of Rahul was that what other kind of support did you receive from Scalar in this entire journey, if there is any
mentor support, because my mentor only asked me, I was not aware about this platform known as medium.com. So he actually made me aware, and he told me to refer to medium.com at least once in a week for understanding any reading any case study and to make any case study out of that medium. So when I explored this medium, I got to know this was something very, very helpful, which I was completely unaware till date. So the first thing is be in regular touch with your mentor. He or she is going to be the person who will guide you at times of your failure. Because when you get succeed in any of your interview rounds, you definitely feel good. Okay, I have cleared this thing, I have cleared that thing. But when you actually fail, you need to go to them with the right set of information that you have with you. Okay, these all things happen in them. Then they will guide you. Okay, please don't repeat these all things. Try doing these all things so that you can actually be more successful in your next round. Before giving my interview at PhysicsWallah, I also connected with him. This is the job profile that is there. These all things that is mentioned in the JD. So what all things I should prepare for? How I shall go forward? So my mentor guided me in a very good manner. Okay, so prepare yourself and these kind of things. They will definitely ask you about your experience. They will definitely ask you how you will going to bring your experience into analytics and how you are going to make sense and business or additional business coming for the organization. So mentor support, getting real-time doubt support is very crucial facility that is provided by Scalar, because anytime and every time I was getting stuck in any of the assignment questions, I was getting real-time supported by Scalar, and along with the recorded videos or the videos of any other instructor, if you want. Let's suppose if I was learning Tableau from a different instructor, but someone referred me, then you can also refer to Saurabh Kango sir for this. So though Saurabh Kango sir was not my regular instructor of Tableau, but I referred to his video, which I found very much informative for me. So yes, to explore this Scalar definitely provided me that option to go to n number of have that recording of n number of different instructors. Also, my product analytics module was not completed at that point of time, but I requested, because I was having interviews, so I requested that video. Even my module is not yet started, but I want those videos so that I can prepare for my interview. So Scalar do provided me where I learned those hypothesis testing and these all things, A/B testing, hypothesis testing, so which was relevant for my job interview.
Yeah. Anupam, so you talked about that how your mentor guided you on this medium.com platform, right? Quick question to all of you in the call. How many of you you refer to medium.com platform either, or how many of you read on that or even write on it? Because even writing on Medium is a very powerful tool, right?
Correct.
Like many do, many don't, almost 50-50 ratio. Anupam, could you maybe, just as your mentor would have explained to you that how you should use Medium platform, for this entire group, can you maybe show something that what kind of articles you have been reading?
So the first and very important thing you need to go and learn on Medium is guesstimates. I am not exactly remembering the name of that publisher who published very good question on guesstimates on this medium.com. So how guesstimates is going to be helpful for you in any interview you are going to sit. You definitely need to be much more thoughtful about how you can go more granular in terms of understanding the business. So having good understanding will definitely give you that insights. And that came to me from medium.com after studying guesstimates only, because though guesstimates are being covered into this product analytics module, but since I didn't reach at that point of time into product analytics, so I learned guesstimates majorly from medium.com, and it was very helpful in terms of my interview at PhysicsWallah and in interview at Indium as well.
Fantastic. I think one thing will be, if Anupam, if I could request you, I'll probably add you to the DSML groups. I'm not sure you might be already there. Later on, if you could share the links to these articles that you found very useful, I think that will be very, very helpful.
There are case studies of Swiggy as well. So how they deliver, how they start their business into any study. There are a good number of case studies of Zomato and Swiggy and how their businesses grow, how their businesses fail, and you can get to know a lot many insights for this medium.
Right. I think some basic, if you can, just seed some of these. Here, Bunch has shared, if this is the article, maybe if you can check quickly, Anupam. Bunch has posted this link,
Guesstimates.
But then in general, like in the group, sharing such articles that you found useful will be very, very powerful for all of us.
I'll definitely do it.
Yeah. Balaji has asked this question. Have you used Kaggle for practice and preparation? And if yes, then was it effective for you?
Yes, initially I was using it, Kaggle. But when I started exploring Medium, so I was more referring to Medium. But yes, Kaggle is again one important source of information. For important source of data sets, I was using Kaggle only for my Tableau module. Okay, but on Kaggle you can definitely get a number of data sets which you can use for SQL, which you can use on Python and any platform that you want.
Tarun has a question. Not sure if you used LinkedIn heavily, Anupam, but his question is how to apply good filters in LinkedIn.
Yes.
Tarun,
there are good filters, like you need to boil down to your search history. When you apply filters of last 24 hours, of last 7 days, Then you can also search using the keywords. If any post is having a keyword of analyst or analytics or these kind of keywords, you can also limit to your search to kind of industries. You can also limit your search to the specific cities. So I used to apply n number of filters because I was knowing which industries or which set of job I need to target. So yes, you can apply those filters, and LinkedIn provides you with options of all those filters even without the subscription.
Yeah, Alakya, what I'll do is I'll add Anupam to our WhatsApp groups where I had posted the message, and maybe Anupam can share some of the links of Medium articles that he
Sure.
Immediately they might not be available, but later on we'll get. And of course, not only Anupam, if any of you come across some good quality articles that you felt were very, very insightful and let's say were helpful for some of the interviews that you are giving, please do share. Because collectively, if you all learn from each other, then the knowledge gain level of everyone will be so much higher, right? Similarly, for example, if any of your mentor sessions, if you get some insights from your mentor which you think is very, very valuable, could be useful for everyone, please share that in the group, right? One for all and all for one. That is how basically we all end up with very high qualities, outcomes.
So I'll just share an instance, Abhimanyu, if it's okay. So just on the day before my interview, I read this article on how many Apsara pencils are being sold in your city on every weekend. And you'll not believe, in my interview, I was asked a question, how many MRF bats are being sold in your city only on weekends? So
Right.
that was the kind of relevance I actually felt. So I just wanted to share it and highlight it over here.
No, very, very important, guys. One very important thing I will emphasize is that not only for your immediate transition in let's say 6 months, 9 months, but for lifelong growth, it is very important that you build a strong curiosity and you become a voracious reader, right? Whichever domain, like for example, all of you I'm sure are enthusiastic about learning data science, and that's a very powerful thing with the how world is evolving, right? But you cannot think ki I will just attend the class, I'll do the assignments and I'll do great. It's the launch pad, but exploring more and more across multiple platforms, reading a lot of articles, building these projects just out of your passion, that is what will give you highest amount of value, right? So for example, this how many Apsara pencils are being sold in the city is not something that is covered in the classroom, right? The framework of how to do these estimations might be, but like basically it's important that you keep exploring, you keep reading things just out of your curiosity and passion, right? And sometimes you would not even realize that how dots connect. This is just a coincidence, as we say that when you put more effort, then the luck is manufactured, right? One may say that Anupam got lucky that he just read that article and a similar thing got asked in the interview. But it
I
is
read it just a day ago. I read that just a day ago. The entire article, the entire approach, and the same thing just with another different product or different commodity I was asked in the interview.
So this is, in a way, one might feel this is getting lucky, but it is also, if you see, this luck was manufactured. Because Anupam has been reading so many things, then of course, then the probability of something matching up and turning up in the interview is much higher, right? So luck is always manufactured by hard work. We often just think it is just luck, but it is generally always manufactured luck by the hard work. So keep reading more and more. Looking at rest of the questions, like I think most of those are more specific to individuals. So guys, for very personalized question, the best is to set up one-on-one mock, your mentor sessions. As Anupam was saying that mentor sessions are very, very powerful. I do see that many of us do not leverage it to its full potential, right? Second thing is using mentors' bandwidth, their insights in the right way is your responsibility. Like it's not something served to you on a platter. You have to probe, you have to show that you are dedicated, you want to take their advice. Mentor is not your, let's say, service provider. He's a guide, he's a coach, so you have to take it from the mentor. Let's take this last question from Balaji before we end the session, as we are nearing the session time. So Anupam, as you had mentioned that you got rejected in Python interview in one of the companies, right?
Correct.
So looking back, your first part of Balaji's question is that, how would you have taken that differently so that rejection doesn't, or let's say probability of that rejection, reduces. Balaji's question is, in Python, what are the topics we should focus more on? Like when talking about, let's say, the interviews, job search process. Let's first take this.
The basic thing, they didn't expect me, to be very much regular or very much proactive in terms of libraries. So they were looking for me to build logic, so whether I had good understanding of tuples, sets, or different dictionaries. So basic thing only. They were not expecting you to learn all the libraries, because eventually it is not possible for anyone and everyone to learn or to keep it handy in their mind about all the libraries. But whether you know how to build how to append data, how to even basic thing, how to create data frames, how to create extract data, how to run a CSV and then to manipulate the data. So these all things they were trying to understand out of me, in which I failed, which I realized later on. I need to invest more time into learning logics and to make Python actually work. So the library is something that you can know what all things are there, what are the keywords, but eventually how to use those libraries are going to be very much important. Second part, what is your job preparation plan? So it was not any in a planned manner. The only plan was to get into a job where I can use my skills and can get an opportunity to learn these analytics things. So I was majorly into reading articles, solving questions, and attending as many sessions and as many things that I could grasp upon. So that was the only basic plan.
All right, guys. So with that, we'll close the session. Maybe there is just this last question from Adeep, which I think we have talked about earlier as well. That managing time as a working professional. So Adeep, almost everyone, like majority of the people, are working professional, right? It's just rooted in better time management, better discipline. I think the consistency and discipline is the most important factor. Thirdly, of course, from time to time, it might so happen that, let's say, you got super busy at work, there's a lot of work pressure at work. And that is why the feature of pause has been created. Like, of course, you should not push yourself beyond, of course, because whatever your responsibility at job are super critical, because that's your day job. So if it is extreme pressure at work for some time, take a pause. And otherwise, just manage with good discipline and good consistency and good time management. Ritesh, your question I think we had taken already. Did we not? That Anupam, when we were talking about that, let's say if you are to hire a junior data analyst for your team, someone who does not have a sales or operation background but is just analyst, is a good data analyst, what kind of preparation, what kind of questions you would expect them to be able to solve on the business side, business questions, and what kind of projects would you hope the person to have built if the person doesn't have sales and ops background but want to join your team as a junior analyst?
So first, they should know how to, good. We see every team member in our team is a good storyteller. Okay. So what this storyteller is actually. So if you know how to read a data, you are given with a data set. Okay. So let's suppose I'm giving you a data set where there is entry time of a customer coming to a restaurant, then there is customer ID, and then there is amount that a customer paid on a certain number of days. So your brain should work in a function that what all things you can actually see from this data. You have just 3 columns. Now you need to come up with an insight. So what all things you can drive out of this, and how you can actually drive out of this, and how this insights is going to bring me an additional revenue, additional business, or additional, not only in terms of revenue, in terms of customer experience, in terms of student, in terms of your employee experience, in terms of anything. So it's just that how good you are at storytelling and how you are good at extracting the data. So that is going to be the core if you are not from the business background or operations background. So how good you are at reading data, extracting data, and manipulating it in a right way, either for anyone's experience or the company's business growth. So that is something which everyone is looking for.
Fantastic. I think with that, we will end the session today. I hope you all got benefit from the session. Anupam, maybe just one closing question from my side. Are you hiring at PhysicsWallah IUI for the analytics role?
IUI?
Oh, sorry, not IUI. Actually, yesterday I was meeting some of the PhysicsWallah leadership, so I think that's stuck on. But yeah, at PhysicsWallah, are you?
So there are hirings going on in the organization. There are hirings. Even I applied through LinkedIn only. So there are hirings. Everything that is being posted on LinkedIn only by the recruiters. So one can definitely go on the LinkedIn page of the company and can check out all the requirements over there. Okay. So the company keeps on hiring at different time according to the project requirements. Okay. So one can definitely reach on to the company's LinkedIn page.
Great. All right, guys. So all the best to all of you. And as always, I hope to be hosting every single one of you one by one in many weeks to come. Of course, we can only do one session in a week. but I hope you had good takeaways, good guidance from the session. And thank you so much, Anupam, for taking the time out on the weekend. I'm sure it's very, very impactful. It will be very, very valuable for a lot of people. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Thank you for joining.
Check out Scalers Masterclass by industry leading experts only on Scalers event page. Link is in the description below.